New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
We outside, goddammit. What's going on? This is Jay Ellis from the Knick of Time show here, giving you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time. And it's time to talk about another Knicks win. That's right, because the Knicks came back from behind in the third quarter and beat the Pelicans 104-93. That's right. Held another team to under 100 points. Jalen Brunson, my captain, Big Shot Brunson is what I like to call him on this program, gave you 39 points and 6 assists on the night. All right, McHale Bridges gave you 18 points, 2 steals, 2 assists. Karl-Anthony Towns had an off game, got into a lot of fouls, and had 11 points and 10 rebounds. Josh Hart chips in with 14 points and 8 rebounds. And the Knicks did things a little bit unconventional today. We had 24 assists. Usually the magic number for us is 30 assists when we win. We lose the rebounding battle 50-56, but the Knicks defense ends up showing up in important moments and shut down the Pelicans in the end of the second quarter and half of the third quarter, and we ended up winning the game. And we're going to talk about it all: the good, the bad, the ugly, the brilliance, and just the just the brilliance. I'm gonna just leave it on the brilliance and the what's the word I'm looking for? We were just lucky enough to have 2 MVP candidates on this team. And sometimes when a game doesn't go right, you can lean on one. And today that one was Jalen Brunson. We don't talk about it. All right. So salute to you guys. Salute to you guys on TikTok land. 3XP, Skylar J, I see you. Egg 2, I see you. Brian, I see you. Feeling the show, hit that like and subscribe. TikTok land. YouTube, shout out to my peoples on YouTube. Jean Mark, shout out to Fritz Alessandor, best mod in the game. Kareem Grant. Everybody else is rocking with the KOT show. And you know, I'm gonna introduce you my guy. You already know who it is. The Latin assassin killing the putback, Mr. Bleacher Report contributor, ESPN contributor, my man Lee Escobedo. What's going on, Lee?
Much love, brother Jay. Oh man, Jalen Brunson. It is great to be a Knicks fan in the 21st century. Wow. It's not only do we have a superstar, as you mentioned, we have 2, and we have one hell of a team around him and a great coach as well, and the best front office in the game. Let's hit this chip, baby. Like, this was a game where I was a little bit worried in the second, third quarter. I was like, we're playing down to our competition again. But again, don't get too high on the win. Don't get too low on the loss. In the fourth, we need a superstar to come up and just break whatever defensive schemes or offensive withdrawals we were having. That's when the superstar comes in and wins a game on his back. And we got it today with Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, for sure. Luxury is the word I was thinking about. Luxury. We have the luxury of having an MVP candidate. There you go. That's the word. It came to me. Yep. It came to me eventually. I have to start with just Jalen Brunson in general, because the Knicks started off a little bit funky. Yeah, we had like a little bit of a 5-point lead to start, and we was playing unusual basketball. The back cuts was working, and it started to look like the same old, and we was gonna put the Pelicans away early. But you got to give this team credit. The Pelicans played like a team who lost 5 in a row, and they played like a team who lost 14 of their last 15, and they gave it to us. And I know some people might be upset because of the level of competition for this team, but I'm not taking this team too lightly either. Like, I look at it a little bit differently. Herb Jones just comes back, so now they have the extra length to really bother Jalen Brunson. The archetype of the type of teams that really bother us are the teams who have multiple long wing guys who can attack you defensively. So now you add Herb Jones to DeJounte Murray and Troy and Murphy. Now you have a team that can switch, that can be active, and that can really cause some disruption. And it did for us for a long time. And you know, sometimes you look to the coach and you go, you know what? Cut harder. Draw up a play. Let's get this X and O. Let's get this going. And sometimes you can just give the man who has the most talent on the floor the damn ball and tell him to go to work. And I started off the last program talking about the luxury of Jalen Brunson's brilliance and how sometimes we don't have to lean on it because other guys step up. But when we play these type of teams who have long defensive arms, it takes him about 2.5 quarters to figure it out before he starts to dissect them like an old school chemistry project. Like the frog is on the table, and that's exactly what he did. Got Herb Jones into foul trouble, 5 fouls. Get the hell out of here. Okay, I'm going to the paint. You deflecting the ball. Y'all trying to blitz our pick and rolls. Y'all trying to trap the pick and rolls. Screw that. I'm just walking you up and shooting pull up 3 after pull up 3. He had him on the heels. He shot a 3 over 2 people and hit it, people. This is the type of guy. This is why he is 1A. This is why Becky Hammond was tripping. And this is why I love this guy. He's my point guard because at any given moment, yes, he has evolved to a playmaker, but at any given moment, he can just turn it on and just be the guy who gets you a bucket. And that's what he did today. Shout out to my man, Jalen Brunson.
I want to give some love to Willie Green, a very smart young coach that's had awful luck in terms of health and chemistry with this Pelicans team. He's missing 50 points right now with Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson out, but he has managed to always at least get his guys playing hard no matter who he has suited up on the floor. Tonight, Herb Jones and Trey Murphy III were elite long wing defenders, and they made life very hellish for us in that first half. Also thought Willie Green's plan of attack, which is probably every team's plan of attack, right? Is try to get Karl-Anthony Towns in foul trouble when he's in drop. It happened.
Yeah.
He had difficulty guarding the rim. So when Karl-Anthony Towns went to the bench, this is where Willie Green, I thought, really his X's and O's acumen was through the roof. With Precious Achiuwa at the 5, he really had his team generate the Knicks starting their action, not in the hands of Jalen Brunson or Deuce McBride, but really starting it in OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa. So I saw the offense was very out of whack. Guys were out of position because of how hard they were blitzing the pick and roll, but also how tough they were playing on the perimeter, not giving anyone any space to just hit a 3 in rhythm and starting the offense going. So Precious was having to initiate a lot, as was OG Anunoby. That took 5, 6, 7 seconds off of the clock sometimes, with things trying to rearrange, someone trying to open off of a curl and get the ball back in the hands of Jalen Brunson. But that's where McHale Bridges, I thought, was really clutch. He bailed us out multiple times, especially when I thought their defense was at its best in the end of the first quarter and middle of the second. And that's where McHale Bridges bailed us out with that mid-range pull-up. Mm-hmm. He hit that lob to that off of a cut. And that really freed things up and got us a little bit more in going. And also got Brunson going, because now Brunson was in catch-and-shoot mode instead of being on ball because of Willie Green's tactic to try to put the ball in Precious and OG's hands. So it kind of went to our favor because Brunson got hot. And then that continued on to the second half when he went supernova. It didn't matter if he was on ball or off. But his ability to do both is what separates him into an MVP candidate, as well as Karl-Anthony Towns for a post player. He can even pull up from the perimeter when he's on ball, initiating the point of attack and just drain threes on you. Those are bat-breaking plays. Yeah. That's what separates the elite teams from the semi-contenders or the almost contenders. And we have 2 guys that push us over the edge. So, man, shout out Willie Green for having a great defensive scheme. He really challenged us.
He did.
And he used Herb Jones and playing a lot of how OG was fronting as a center, and it worked in the first half. But man, Tom Thibodeau adjusted. Jalen Brunson turning on.
Yeah, great points, man. Versatility of Jalen Brunson, taking some shades of how he played in Dallas, playing off ball, bringing it to the New York Knicks, and able to open that can of knowledge when he needed it. And then when you want to put the game away, give it right back to Jalen Brunson in the clutch or in the third quarter, because third quarter was the clutch to me, and just dissected them all game long. I loved it. And you talked on Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges has been a topic on this program for a while, and you got to give him some love. The second leading scorer of this game. He wasn't like super efficient, but he was efficient enough. And it's been a weird kind of synergy between Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby in terms of who's on offensively, who's on defensively. OG's been struggling offensively since the 40-point game. And I'll get to that in a minute. because I have some crazy stats to talk about that. But McHale Bridges, on the other hand, has been freaking scorching. Scorching, all right? Month of December, averaging 58% from the field, 43% from the three, averaging 22 points a game, has been a plus 16. McHale Bridges is killing it in December. And I've come to rely on that corner three a lot, especially when you're seeing OG kind of be a little bit shaky on that. Even Deuce McBride today, valiant effort defensively, his shot was off. So we needed every one of those corner threes that McHale Bridges hit today. And I'm glad he actually stepped up. And he's also played defense too. He was defending CJ McCollum. I feel like defensively he's just been good, a lot better than he has been to start the season, and he just gotten his legs under him on both sides of the ball. So McHale Bridges for sure. I'm glad you mentioned him and the impact of his game, Lee.
Let's talk about McHale Bridges. I specifically want to talk about his defense. Me and Pitch for Timmy have been having like a month-long back and forth, both on the show in the comments and also in the comments on YouTube, about my harsh criticism of McHale Bridges. I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings, Pitch, but it's nothing personal. I actually didn't really care ever about McHale Bridges averaging New Jersey Nets numbers with the Knicks. I wanted those 5 picks to really reveal themselves in his defense, specifically his on-ball defense. And that has been the thing that's impressed me the most. Now, Minnesota, I think, was his best game overall defensively in terms of guarding the point of attack. But tonight, I thought that he carried over a lot of really good trends and habits. And there's 2 specifically. One is the dig. The dig is like a soft double when the opposing player when the Knicks are on defense and they're guarding the opposing player, and there's a post up. There's kind of a soft did. He did this in Minnesota too, where like when Julius Randle would catch the ball in the soft did, he forced a lot of turnovers off of this because he would do the quick double that would cause Randle in the spin move. It allowed OG to have a space and knock the ball out, and then that would go in transition. But it also allows him to guard it with the did to recover in time because of his foot speed and his length and width, his the reach. Get back on the perimeter and close out on shooters. I thought that translated over today as well. And he really executed well off of that play. And it was something that I was noticing, and I just started Googling, trying to figure out what is it called. And I figured out it was called a did. And it's something that he has, through research, been elite at in his time as Phoenix. Is one of the things they use the most to really fortify their defense. And him and Jay Crowder were the main implementers of that. Another one, this is the one I think that's going to be a season-long process, is Bridges' screen navigation. It's been hot and cold. There's been some games where I thought he's been really good, looking like the Phoenix Suns Bridges, where it's a term called going skinny, where he almost like compacts his body to get over the pick and really change the direction of where the on-ball player is going, and it disrupts their offense, and they have to start looking for secondary or tertiary action, that relief valve will come out, and then try to get a bailout shot. Usually it's a very low percentage one. He's been a lot better in the month of December, but the last couple of games specifically, including Minnesota, with his screen navigation, fighting through, getting above the pick, and really just negating their ball strings, which a team like New Orleans is really pertinent because they don't do a whole lot of big discard. They do a lot of guard-to-guard screens, which makes them very dangerous because Herb is shooting over 40%. Trey Murphy is a sniper. DeJounte Murray is shooting very well. That young kid whose name I can't remember, he balled out today.
He's crazy.
Jordan Hawkins, maybe something like that. He was shooting well from the perimeter. They're not a good three-point shooting team, but when you get those small guard screens, it's very important to stay above them because you don't want to let them get hot, because that opens up everything else, especially when Zion and Brandon Ingram are gone. So those are 2 things that I've really been looking at that really impressed me. Again, the screen navigation, I think it's going to be a season-long exercise, but as long as he can really get a rhythm going into the postseason and really be our point of attack defender, to me, there's no need to make a trade. There's no need to really look at the roster to rearrange or supplement who's in the starting lineup, because he can be our guy and OG can guard the bigger wings.
Funny you talked about the digging, because I think we're on the same page, because I would definitely notice the digging too. It's funny. I kind of felt like we kind of fought back because the Pelicans were hurting us with their digs. That's how they was causing a lot of their turnovers on us, with Herb Jones and Murphy kind of digging on us and causing turnovers. I kind of felt like we started to fight back more in that third quarter, kind of replicating what they were doing. And McHale was one of those guys, and not even just McHale, OG and Josh Hart They were all helping out defensively after that slow start in the third quarter. And I think it kind of took the pressure off Cat to have to be the anchor. And I think that's when we started to make the push. It was like, all right, we're not just going to wait for Cat to clean everything else up, because that's not really what he does. But we're just going to lean on our wings to help and dig even more. And I think that helped us. Also, we've been talking about switching. Like, why haven't we been switching with our wings and Mikal and Josh Hart and OG Anunoby? And we switched a lot in the third quarter, and that disrupted everything too. We have. That's the only thing that I probably have been complaining about with Thibs this season. And shout out to somebody in it. This is some, I forgot the guy's name. I'm sorry. You've been talking about switching for like 15 games in the YouTube chat. And I forgot your name. But shout out to you, my guy, because you've been complaining about it forever. And it's absolutely true. And I think it really helped us today. Really helped us take control over that third quarter. And it's like, now we can just be like, you know what? Play defense. We got that under control. Jalen Brunson, take us home. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I'm going to add to that. I think Thibs, listen, man, it's time to have a conversation about these dumbass fans on Twitter and elsewhere that really don't watch the game and don't bother to educate themselves on just how good of a coach Tom Thibodeau is, both offensively and defensively. I've had to change my own opinion. It's an evolving thing. Like when the evidence in front of me changes, I have to change my opinion. Otherwise, I'm delusional. And I really liked how he kept Jericho Sims out of the strain action and really kept it to guard to guard. That allowed Sims to be more of a rim protector and allowed Sims to really be the guy who's doing what he's best at, which is going to be a role that Mitchell Robinson will eventually come in and fill as well. But on the offensive side, you had small to small guards, which really allowed Jalen Brunson to get the ball back in his hands and then hunt the guys that he really wanted to attack. That's how he got Herb Jones into foul trouble. So to me, Tom Thibodeau, another small, very small adjustment, but really keeping Sims out of the pick and roll and keeping him in his position and allowing it to be more of a guard advantage. Really, that helped counter where Willie Green was trying to put the ball in OG and Precious' hands and then try to disrupt our point of attack offense.
Absolutely. Shout out to Knicks, Bucks, and Buckets on TikTok, who said Brunson did what he did, which is take over. Absolutely right. He did what he did. He took over, and that's why he won this game. Also, my man, Jericho Sims, Mount Jericho, all right? My Sims stock is skyrocketing. I just want to tell you, Lee, you made me a rich man, all right? You made me a rich man telling me all your Sim stock. I gotta tell you, man. Second quarter. Precious Achiuwa comes in the second quarter with campaign, and it was looking a little funny. Timmy, your man campaign. It wasn't his day today. Timmy. It wasn't his day today. But it wasn't a lot of Knicks day. Now, interesting part of this game. I retweeted somebody that said that the Knicks held the Pelicans to 1 point at the 6 minute and 45 second mark in that second quarter. Sims and Brunson come in at like the 6:04 mark. And to me, it was extremely visible when Sims came in, the defense jumped up like ridiculously. It was, well, first of all, as mobile to me as Precious is. He got switched onto Herb Jones, held him down. Also has the ability to switch on people and actually secure rebounds and fight with the other bigger, stronger guys. He did a phenomenal job doing that. And Lee has talked about the multiple efforts he has on defense. It was on display today. All that was on display today. And Thibs definitely saw that because he rewarded Sims with a lot more minutes in that second half. I don't think he planned to actually play Sims today. He just, Karl-Anthony Towns got into foul trouble. Right? 3 early fouls. Precious came in. It was shaky. Sims came in and defensively put his imprint on the game. Even though he had like 2 early fouls, personally, I thought those fouls was bull. I feel like rule of verticality was in effect, but they was getting a little bit of home whistle. It is what it is. It happens sometimes. But Sims, to me, the defense, the rebounding, the multiple efforts. If I was another team looking at the Knicks, I would try to pry Sims from the Knicks too. A really impactful 0-point game by Jericho Sims, but he just did all the damn little things.
Yeah, it's crazy. Usually, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm good. 8 rebound. Yes,
Usually the games where there's not like an elite big or maybe even like a solid starter level center for the opposing team, those are the games that Sims does well against. He typically doesn't go play well against teams that are smaller that try to get out in transition. But tonight, he opposed his physicality. I actually liked that the minutes he was in, we looked like last year's team in some stretches with our second chance points opportunities because of his offensive rebounding. He was getting offensive rebounds in traffic against players that had kind of a running start because they were either faster or quicker or had better timing, but Sims was just manhandling them and using his physicality and the role of verticality going up and improving his timing on the offensive rebounds and also knowing what to do with it once you got it, which is where are the other 4-player teammates on the court and trying to get to them to where they would have high percentage shots opposed to just fumbling it or leading to a turnover once you bring the ball down. He was keeping it high and he was making quick decisions with it on the offensive boards. So yeah, I was wrong about Jericho Sims. Another example of when the evidence in front of you changes, your opinion should too. And after the first couple of weeks of a season, Jericho Sims started balling. Another example of why we should not make any trades, in my opinion. I think we should stand pat and just enjoy the insurance policy we have now because Mitchell Robinson is made of paper. Actually, he's made of glass. And you never know when he's going to go out. So Jericho Sims replicates so much of his rim protection, not the shot blocking really, or even like the clogging of a lane, but he does protect the rim, and he's great at using his bodies on drives, putting his hands up and really stopping easy layups. And he doesn't foul too much either, so he doesn't give them and ones as well. He's a really solid third, fourth big off the bench. And until Hot Porty develops a 3, I don't think he should ever supplant him in the rotation or even in the back end of the rotation. So let's keep Jericho Sims. Cheap $2 million contract. We sign him for 2.5, 3, maybe some type of like descending deal where it's a nice $5 million upgrade or $6 million upgrade on that first year and then gradually goes down. So he's more tradable, but just don't get rid of him because he provides so much of what Mitchell Robinson brings. And that's what Thibs wants out of year 5.
Yeah, he's just that brick glass option. Something's not working here, we can just go to him. And we developed him from when he was a young pup until now, where he finally knows what to do. He's got enough time to develop, and he's like, all right, cool. You're not an offensive juggernaut. You're not going to be, you're kind of litigated just being a lob threat. But defensively, if we need somebody who can stop some things, we can roll you in the game and you can have an impact. And that's exactly what he did today. And it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth keeping that around and not selling him for a second round pick.
1000% agree with you. And I think Leon Rhodes is smart enough for that as well. Like, I think Leon realized last year in the playoff run, damn it, we really were only 9, 10-man deep. When some injuries started lining up, that back end of the bench, the Charlie Brown Jr. guys, they were unplayable. Like, Thibs didn't even attempt to put anyone in outside of Alec Burks. So now we have guys in the back end of the bench where if, God forbid, injuries happen, we can resort to people who have actually played in the regular season and provided 1 or 2 things that they're really elite at. And Sims is really elite at rebounding rate and traffic, but also protecting the rim. Keep it around. It's $2 million contract. Like, he's not looking for a mega raise. But I think Brock Aller can work his magic and get him a contract that he deserves that also keeps it financially flexible.
Absolutely. Which and now, since we're talking about bigs, let's talk about Cat in a minute. All right. Oh, shout out to S Parker on YouTube. He says, I hope Sims gets the minutes and the bag. He's worth it. Yeah. He's an expiring contract, I believe. So that's something to keep an eye on. Usually the telltale for the Knicks, if they're going to keep him, is they extend him early. But I don't think they can extend him because I feel like they gave him an extension already. So I feel like it's going to have to be some type of negotiations happening. So I'm keeping an eye on that for sure. All right. And also shout out to Knicks Bucks and Buckets on TikTok as well. He said Cat gets no foul calls. He gets one of the most unfair whistles in the NBA, especially for a star. And I agree that he doesn't get a lot of foul calls for sure. I kind of expect him not to get foul calls when you're playing versus the Pelicans. But at the same time, I feel like Cat had issues playing hard and tough without fouling. And it got him into trouble today. But I do believe that he does seem to get a lot of fouls. Like I feel like he does draw fouls a lot and doesn't get the call or the benefit of the doubt. But I'm not sure if today is the. I don't know. Today was just a weird whistle to me. I feel like today was like the home team whistle to me, and Jalen Brunson figured out how to kind of get that whistle back on his side, but Cat didn't. That's how I see it.
It's going to happen. Offensive fouls and cheap fouls or silly fouls were one of the things that plagued Karl-Anthony Towns during his entire tenure in Minnesota. It was one of the things that Minnesota fans were most frustrated about. And one of the few silver lions they saw in getting rid of him was that they weren't going to have to worry about those kind of fouls anymore. But little did they know about Julius Randle's spin move. But Karl-Anthony Towns, I mean, it's going to happen. Every superstar has their nights where they're off. But I thought that Thibs went to his bench. He went actually kind of deeper in his bench than I thought he was going to do, and he did it earlier too, which surprised me a little bit in the first quarter, bringing out Jericho Sims and having Precious play at 7 minutes at the end of the first. So yeah, I think it's one of those. We have a good enough team to where one of our superstars is off, someone else is stepping up, and tonight Jalen Brunson understood the assignment and went supernova in that fourth quarter and didn't need any screen set for him. I mean, he rejects them anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But he was dominating on all three levels tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It was Jalen Brunson's night, and for Carl, Thibs is gonna have more time with him because I love Carl. He's had a phenomenal season. He just still has like a lot of bad habits to kind of work through, but luckily, like he's in the best place in the NBA for guys who have bad habits because this coach is all about fundamentals. He's gonna drill into you what to do and what not to do. Carl, he still kind of does this weird touch foul stuff when people are going to the hole, and he gets ticky tack fouls that way. He just has to learn how to be more disciplined, but I feel like Thibs is going to work with him on that, and he's going to gradually get better because he's done well so far this season. He's been less and less annoying to me defensively. Today wasn't his best defensive game, but overall, I'm still really impressed on his progression so far with the Knicks.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Salute to the chat. Salute. Shout out to S. Parker. Shout out to Picks with Timmy. I'm not even sure if you still. I know he was here earlier. Shout out to JT Riddick. Shout out to Gamer Channel. Gamer Channel. Precious didn't hit a 3 today, so no. No. I feel like I talked about everything that was important to me. Only thing else I have to say is shout out to Josh Hart, who did some phenomenal cutting and it hit a couple of and one buckets when the game got testy. When the game gets kind of rough, I kind of look to Josh Hart to give us that toughness. And he did that in spots today in the third quarter. So shout out to Josh Hart. Didn't feel like he had a huge impact on the game, but he had some important moments to me.
Yeah, a few of the short notes of note that I wanted to talk about just very briefly that I thought the Nets were really smart in their switching. We've talked about it so often, how much we wanted to see more, at least 2 through 5 when Precious is out there or Sims is out there because of their ability to guard the perimeter. But I thought they did it with good intention. Like they really, especially defensively, to contain DeJounte Murray and CJ McCollum when both those guys shot really poorly from the field. Let's say DeJounte was 5 of 15, 2 of 6. CJ 5 of 13, 0 for 4. So I think example of us being really good on the switches. I thought New Orleans was kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
I think whenever they switched Jalen Brunson it was like Jalen Brunson was like, oh wow, it's a buffet. I don't have to get out of my seat to go to the line to the food. Like they're bringing the food to him. And when he saw those switches, he was taking full advantage, especially in the fourth quarter. Really, I think New Orleans should have stayed in that zone, but they were doing that zone kind of disrupted us in the first half. Especially when OG Anunoby and Precious, again, there was all smart tactics by Willie Green. There's a reason why they had the ball in the perimeter, that New Orleans was forcing them to catch it there because they didn't trust them from the perimeter. And it showed. But once you figured out the zone and they had it back into man or get back into maybe a soft man with a little bit of zone still left over, I think Brunson really exploited that and demolished them. Also, the 3 notes I always look at. This was a weird game today because we lost the rebounding battle, 42 to 45. We also didn't get 30 assists. We got 24. But the free throw shooting, 86.7%, 13 out of 15. So we got 1 out of 3 that I always look to for us to win a game. This was really, we won not because we executed well, but because Jalen Brunson was an MVP candidate in the fourth quarter when we needed it.
Ah, gotta love it. Gotta love it. Got to
Got
love
to.
it, man. Oh, and I forgot to talk about OG Anunoby for a second. Interestingly enough, OG Anunoby is who he is because even though he can have a problem scoring, he can still affect the game. OG Anunoby, since having that career high 40-point game lead, has been really bad offensively. Like really bad. 38% from the field, 23% from three since the 40-point game, which is crazy, but still managing to be like a +8 according to Basketball Reference. So he's still impacting the game, but like it's funny. I feel like there was like one game where Mikal and OG played well offensively, and then I haven't seen it again since. It seems like OG is having problems being decisive. It seems like he's having problems dealing with the pressure and the speed of the closeouts. And this is somebody who's had a reputation of attacking closeouts pretty well his entire career. So it's weird to see him kind of struggle figuring out when to shoot and when to close out. Like even today, like Brunson passed the ball at the corner and he traveled trying to get that 3 up. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what's happening with him offensively, but hopefully he gets to turn that around pretty soon and gets adjusted to the newfound pressure that he's receiving because he was on such a tear to the point we was calling him the third option from September to November.
Right. Yeah, you can tell that the coaching staff was telling him to be more aggressive too, because after the match at the Timberwolves games where he shot 8 attempts in each of those, he went to 17 tonight and shot 8 3-pointers, only 2 of 8, and 6 of 17 overall. But he did all the other things. He gave me 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals after averaging 1.6 a game this season, and he was unbelievable defensively again.
Yeah.
I saw a stat from a Timberwolves game that the player shot 3 of 15 when OG Anunoby was a primary defender. We don't have those stats yet at hand for what it was tonight, but I can imagine it's probably something close to it. So I love that about him. He's not like, other players we've had when they've been off offensively, Barrett, Randall, who don't really give you the type of impact you want defensively or the ball sharing, even if it's just a hockey assist. And OG Anunoby is doing that. I want him to stay aggressive, keep shooting, because he still remains a decoy on the offensive end, and it allows better spacing for Brunson and Cat when he's at least a hypothetical threat.
Yeah, definitely keep shooting. Josh Hart has been shooting well too. One slight annoyance today from Josh Hart. He started to lose his confidence in his 3-point shooting, and he started to pump fake and drive into crowds. I was like, nah, this is not the Josh Hart I was getting used to over the last month. Keep that aggression, keep shooting. I know you want to mix it up sometimes, but don't get to the point where Jalen Brunson is giving you the advantage, giving you wide open shots, and you're afraid to take it. Very small nitpicks. Still won the game. Extremely happy. I know people just think, oh, it's the Pelicans. I don't care. Nah, I'm happy with this win because we faced a team who lost 5 in a row, extremely hungry. They punch us in the mouth.
Right.
We struggle against length sometimes. We figured out how to beat this team with length. We changed up our tactics defensively. We started to switch. McHale Bridges showed up. Jalen Brunson showed up. Cat didn't play well, and we still ended up winning. So I know some people were like, oh, it's just the Pelicans. It's just another one. Like, I actually really like this win because we won dirty, and we just found a way. So I kind of look at it. I might look at it differently than everybody else is covering the game today, but I actually really like this win.
That's a great freaking point, bro. And also, like, man, well said. It's also, we won a game where Karl-Anthony Towns didn't play very well after he played unbelievably well against Minnesota. You would expect if there's a drop-off that significantly, and not just a drop-off in his performance, but also in foul trouble too, where he couldn't even be on the court, you would think we would lose this game.
Yeah.
But you're right. We did it based on physicality and grit, and I loved how we stayed mature and I focused throughout the entire game. You never really saw lapses.
Right.
They really kept the composure. No, there wasn't bunch of bitching about calling or lapses on defense. They played together as a unit. They almost like they knew they were going to win. Just had to wait to slowly chip away at the lead. And that's an element or an attribute of a championship caliber team. And they showed that moxie tonight. And again, thanks to Jalen Brunson. But this is a team that has length too. New Orleans is not Washington. They're a team kind of like Charlotte that gives us trouble. They have a very dynamic guard that's great in pick and roll, like DeJounte Murray, also capable of just pulling up from three and knocking down 3-pointers above the break. And they have long wings that are both elite, both of them, elite defensively and awesome offensively as well, especially in the corners. And I thought we did a job of containing that too and not letting them get in a rhythm from three.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. Well said. I feel like I have one more thing to add to that, but I forgot. My brain just went. it just went away. It just went away. But good show, man. Good show. Appreciate. I see people in the chat. Shout out to the predicate is in the chat. Shout out to John Baines.
John Baines.
Yeah. The predicate says, let's see. John Baines, really good point. The next step is Wingstop playing well on both sides together. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Because that's when we'll be really, really scared. Not that we're not even scary now, but that's when we'll be really, really scared. Both guys can have it offensively and defensively. The predicate says offensively, OG was covering Mikal earlier in the season. Now Mikal is returning the favor KOT. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah, I feel like everything that's on my heart is gone. It's good.
Me too.
Cool. So, any picks or bruh picks for you today?
Yeah, I got I got one. I know it's not fun to punch down, but I got to roast this bum. Jeremiah Robinson Earl, who plays for the New Orleans Pelicans and was drafted by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Actually, he was drafted by the New York Knicks, and then Leon Rose had one of his best fleeces. He traded him to OKC for the pitch that became Jericho Sims and Deuce McBride, as well as what's the Euro that never came over to America? Kuzmingas or whatever. I think he was part of that trade as well.
No, Kuzmingas play, right?
I don't know if he ever actually came to NBA. I think he was in preseason.
It's about Kuz, right? Kuz.
Yeah, the Euro that we have stashed over there.
Oh, okay.
Him, Deuce, and Sims were all traded for Jeremiah Robinson Earl. And Jeremiah Robinson Earl had 4 points tonight, 4 rebounds, 0 for 2 from 3, 2 for 4 from the field. Actually had a big night tonight, 18 minutes, stood for him because they're so bad at center. But there's another example of Leon Rose fleecing even Sam Presti. He's fleeced him a couple of times for picks or just for draft swaps. And Earl, man, with a last name like Earl, it's like, how can you be a good NBA player? But hey, thanks for Deuce. Appreciate you, Presti. And thanks for Sims.
Hey, man. You have your first name Earl, all right? Earl Pearl Monroe, all right?
That's true. That's true. Good point. I always think that my name is Earl, and it's like, that just doesn't fit in the NBA.
Well,
Rotas Jokibias, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, Rotas. Yeah, Jokibias. Yeah.
He was involved in that trade, too, with OKC.
Got you. My God, Jokibias. All right. Do I have any picks or that was the bruh. I got you, Lee. My pick, I don't know. My pick just goes to Jalen Brunson, man. That's just the one play that sticks out to me is after Jalen Brunson hits like I don't know how many 37 pull-up threes in a row during this game. And then Jalen Brunson kind of just walks up the ball and he think he's gonna get like single coverage. And then they try to late double on him on like the right side of the court from a 3-point line. I forgot who he shot it over, but he shot it over 2 Pelicans from like 40 feet, but behind the 3-point line for cash. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
That is nasty. That was a crazy shot. That's the play of the game for me. That's the play of the game. John Baines, I see you. Salute to you, guy. Salute to you.
Much love, homie.
All right. Felicia Lee. Shout out to Felicia Lee. Yeah, holding on for the ladies in the chat, yo.
Felicia Lee knows ball, bro. She knows ball. Felicia Lee knows ball.
No, she definitely does. She definitely does. It's always super active. Salute to you, Predicate. And Stanley, man, I've seen you here a lot more lately. Shout out to you, Stanley, man.
Hell yeah, Stanley.
And John Bain. Shout out to you, John. All right. Good show, Lee. Let her know where they can find you, man.
On Twitter at _ Lee Escobedo _LeeEscobedo.
All right. You can also find me, us, at the KOT Show on Twitter, the Knick of Time Show on Instagram, and the Knick of Time Show on Facebook as well. We are also on TikTok. All right. The Knick of Time Show on TikTok as well. Shout out to the new TikTok follower who said that he wants to do a collab show on TikTok. Salute. Let's do it. Pull up, my guy. Let's get it.
Let's go.
We'll definitely do a shoot. Felicia says, I miss Ebony. We all miss Ebony, man. I feel like Ebony is close to coming back.
Yep.
She was actually supposed to do a show before, but it was the show was started so late that she wasn't able to make it. But I feel like Ebony will be here pretty soon. So miss our sister Ebony too. So salute to you, Ebony, and also salute to Ryan G as well.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right. That is our show. Thank you guys for watching. And you guys know the drill by now if you're a KOT head. All right. As always,
shout out the worldwide west. Everywhere we go, we leave a worldwide mess.
It's a mess out here in these Knicks streets. That's the show. We out of here.
New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.